welcome to my new series called eTudes. Here we will work on a new etude each week, find creative ways of practicing it, and at the end you can find a full performance of the etude that we're working on in each episode. Today I'm working on Kreutzer number 13. This is a great etude to work on not only bow crossings, but also working on our right hand finger maneuverability. So we're going to explore quite a few ways that we can work on relaxing our right hands and our fingers and use them to aid with our bow crossings throughout this. The other thing this etude is great for is working on endurance. It's a very long Kreutzer etude. I think it's one of the longest in terms of pages and notes. And I find it really tiring because it's so repetitive. So we really want to economize our motion to make sure that we can be accurate and consistent throughout the entire etude. Also, because it's so long, we have to remember not to practice the whole thing at once. And when we pick a practice method, we don't want to just go beginning to end. I like to break this particular etude up, especially into small chunks, maybe 3 or 4 lines at the most, so we can really go beginning to end on that chunk and then move on to the next one. So let me walk you through the process that I took to practice this etude. The first thing I did was practice my intonation and getting all of these notes sounding and resonating well as double stops. Most of the time, you can just do a double stop on the lower 2 strings and a double stop on the higher 2 strings. But there are a few instances where we are only working between 2 different strings. And the way to practice that is by alternating between the lowest and the highest note and the middle and the highest note. Once I feel like my left hand is secure, I start working up the tempo with the bowings. I start slow, often with a metronome, and just work it up gradually, trying to find consistency between the slurs and the separated notes. We really want to make sure that we don't draw out the slurs too much, and we don't want to rush the separated notes. That's always going to be the tendency. Now, I will say that it's okay to sit just a little bit on the bass note because we always want to make sure we have that buoyancy and that clarity on the bottom note. And one way to do that is kind of feeling this etude in 2 rather than in 4. So rather than thinking we can think of it more in 2. And you can do that at any tempo. It doesn't matter whether you're going faster or slower. We always want to try to capture that feeling of buoyancy on beats 1 and 3. Now, what we're looking at and trying to focus on as we work up the tempo is keeping a very relaxed elbow and shoulder and making sure that our fingers are maneuvering with the bow as much as possible. And the result should look something like drawing an oval with the screw of your bow. And it should just draw a little oval here in front of you. That's a really good imagery for this entire etude and any bow crossing passage in music in general. As we do that, we want to make sure that our fingers are staying very relaxed and doing the work in drawing the circle rather than trying to do it with our entire arm. The other visualization we can use to help make sure that we're successful in keeping the entire arm relaxed is to keep the bow in constant motion. We never want it to get stuck, especially as we're crossing. It's very easy to kind of play one note on one string, change the elbow and then play another note on the other string, whereas we really want to create a continuous motion throughout our entire arm, almost like a cooked noodle sort of idea. We just want it to kind of keep moving. I'm exaggerating a little bit how much motion there will be, but we never want to have, I'm exaggerating, but this kind of stuck motion. We want it to be fluid. Now, a bit of a bonus point exercise that I like to use on this etude that really helps emphasize finger strength and malleability is to practice the entire etude at the frog. Again, we're breaking this into chunks, but this is something good to do once you've kind of worked up the tempo, feel good about your left hand, have been working on your fluency of motion and drawing those ovals. Maybe we can exaggerate the finger motion just a little bit by moving to the frog. I really love this etude. It reminds me so much of something that maybe Bach would have written. To me, it's a throwback to the Bach G major solo cello suite, or any number of his pattern preludes that he created. And so there's something to be said for the musicality in this, and kind of working with some of the colors that we can create on different harmonies and experimenting with that as well. We don't want it to just be an etude. We want to make as much out of it as possible. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it helpful. Happy practicing.